Welcome to the very first podcast of Walk the Dog. My name is Rick Applegate, and this is my daughter, Caitlin.
Hello. So Walk the Dog podcast came from the conversations that me and my dad would have when we were walking my dog, Speedo, who is running around in this room. So if you hear the weird noise, that's him. But as I got older, and just as, my dad works a full-time job and I'm in college now, we live together, but our schedules don't really align. So walking the dog became this just time at night where we get to talk about our days and what was on our mind and just being creative. And I don't know, it was just really fun. It was like this special time that we always had together, even though we were just walking the dog.
And so she came up with this idea for this podcast in which we could share some of those conversations with you from the perspective of, trying to be creative, like you said, and to have conversations and to connect with each other. So that's what this is, and you get to be a part of that. Hope you enjoy it. Our first one, why don't you explain what we're going to be doing and talking about this first one, podcast, broadcast.
So maybe this is something that you can talk about with someone that you care about in your life. But we're going to talk about a subject that's very near and dear to both of our hearts.
Yes, very near and dear.
Food.
Yes, like physically. It's
yes.
Dear to your heart.
I don't know if you understand where the stomach is, but that's okay.
Well, mine's pretty close to my heart, so.
So I always tell my friends that food is very important because the Bible says that we will have feasts in heaven, but there won't be marriage in heaven. So, just set your priorities straight. But specifically today, what we're going to talk about is the best foods that don't exist. So I am very excited. Why don't you kick us off?
So when I was a kid, and I used to watch cartoons all the time, and cartoons then were a little bit different than they are now.
Oh, so they had TV though when you were a kid?
Barely. Not that old. But anyway, there was particular cartoons in which some of the characters would eat an orange. Mm-hmm. And, I love oranges. I used to get them all the time for Christmas in my Christmas stocking, one of those big California navel oranges. And it's really good. Looks really pretty. And, you peel it and the citrus smell and all that good stuff. That's great. But you got to peel it and then your hands are sticky and all this stuff. Well, in the cartoon, they never peeled an orange. You just would take a bite of it, and it looks so good.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's pretty magical.
Oh, it was awesome. And so I would imagine eating this food. I mean, oranges exist. So it's not like they don't exist, but not that kind of an orange. I mean, you just take a bite. You don't have to peel it. It always looks so good. And it always had a sound effect, that's not the sound effect, but.
Well, it's like everything that you want a kumquat to be, but like if it actually delivered.
If it actually delivered, yes. And that's the thing. In the cartoon, it delivered.
Yeah. Every
single time. And they never complained about the stickiness or, getting citric acid squirted in your eye or anything like that. It was just so tasty. I imagine even what it tasted like. And of course, it's an orange, so it should taste like an orange or some citrus thing, but it probably did in my mind, but I don't know. It was just awesome.
Yeah, I relate to this one a lot because I'm pretty sure that the whole reason why I liked Winnie the Pooh growing up is because I was convinced that his jar of honey was nacho cheese.
What? Because I didn't know that.
You didn't know this?
No.
I've lived with you 20 years. So.
Well, did you know about my orange story?
Yeah, yes. I've heard all of your stories at least 3 times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it was like this bright yellow and it looked really good. And I remember as a little kid wanting to eat honey, and so trying honey for the first time, I was so disappointed. I felt so lied to. Because
you felt lied to?
I felt lied to because it didn't taste like nacho cheese. It didn't taste good at all. I don't really...
But honey is sweet.
I don't really prefer honey. I do like organic honey. That's, straight out of the honeycomb, but not like the stuff that you buy in the store that comes out of the bear's head.
Okay.
But I just felt so betrayed and lied to as a kid because Winnie the Pooh looked like he was eating nacho cheese. And I think, looking back, that was the whole reason why I liked the show.
Well, now, wait a minute. So when I think of nacho cheese, okay, I'm thinking of corn chips, dipping corn chips in it, or I'm thinking of breadsticks that you dip in it. Like there was this pizza place we used to go to, and they would have these big long breadsticks and this spicy nacho cheese sauce. He didn't have any of that. He even said it was honey. I mean,
well, he was also a bear, so
oh, okay.
I don't think he had opposable thumbs, but
Well, he never wore any pants, so I don't know what that has to do with.
I think that's all of our ideal scenarios. So yeah, that I definitely relate to the cartoon.
Well, now, okay, I get that but did you, after eating nacho cheese, were you like, this is what it was supposed to taste like? This is what honey should be like?
Well, I think that I had nacho cheese before watching Winnie the Pooh, so I was projecting that experience onto that.
Oh, yeah. See, that's the way I am with wine and grape juice. I mean, I've had grape juice ever since I was a little kid, so the first time I tasted some wine, I about spit it out and puke because it tastes like beet juice to me, whatever beet juice tastes like, I imagine. So yeah, I get the disappointment. I understand that. I mean, it's just that's so diametrically opposed to sweet. I mean, savory, spicy, and without any, like with the first time that you ate nacho cheese, did you just like stick your hand in it and like you want just eat it with a spoon?
So
that's what Winnie the Pooh
nacho
did.
cheese before watching Winnie the Pooh, I think. That's what I...
So it had nothing to do with the, I don't know, extra stuff that you would eat nacho cheese with. It was just the nacho cheese itself.
Yeah.
And so you were disappointed. I didn't know that. Okay. Well, I have another one. This is also cartoon related.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why all these are cartoon related, but you're talking about foods that don't really exist. So I used to love to watch the Flintstones all the time. Great show, right? And they had this one particular episode where they were eating some kind of, it was like, I don't want to say it was a pastry or a tart. It was more like a roll.
Okay.
And it was soft, and it had a blueberry component to it. Like it wasn't blueberries, but it was, you would see like blue dots in it, I guess. Anyway, they said it was blueberry. And so they would eat it. It was soft, and for some reason, soft always is a part of the component for me with this imaginary food. But anyway, it was so soft, and they would eat it, and they again, there was always sound effects with it. And I don't remember what the sound effect was, but anyway, they would eat it. They were like, "Oh, it's so good, it's wonderful." And for me, I wanted to replicate that. So my mom, every year around Christmas time, she would make these yeast rolls, and they were really good when you would first make them. Like they come out of the oven, and they would come apart in sections of 3, so like a third, these triangles with a muffin top. And then, you put butter or jam or whatever you want on it. It was really, really good. Well, you can imagine after these have been, even though you put them in a Ziploc bag, been sitting out for a couple of days, they get kind of hard and dry and not that good. So that was the only thing that I had that was available that kind of looked like what was on TV. And I would go get those and sit down and watch this episode. And I would eat these dry yeast rolls, no butter, no jam, nothing like that. It really didn't taste very good. It was kind of crumbly in your mouth, but I pretended like, this is the blueberry thing that Fred Flintstone is eating.
Nice.
It was awesome.
Well, it's interesting that the first few that we're talking about are cartoon related, because I think that's one of the reasons why the Simpsons world at Universal has been so successful, because
that's true.
I remember going there as a family and we'd order like the pink sprinkled donut. And I mean, it was surprisingly good for theme park food. It
was ridiculously good, to the point where I was disappointed that I hadn't ordered one earlier.
Yeah. But the whole like premise of that is,
that's true.
I can like go to the Simpsons world and Universal and finally eat all those cartoon foods that I always wanted to eat watching the show. And so if you had that experience.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. So speaking of food, that takes us to our sponsor, which is Dinky Dots Ice Cream. Dinky Dots Ice Cream comes in 4 flavors: vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, and mint. And each pint is filled with dainty dots, which are multicolored, chewy bits of sweet goodness guaranteed to titillate and satisfy even the most particular of taste buds. So Dainty Dots Ice Cream is our fictionary sponsor. And so, yeah, you're going to want to go get some of those. They have these at your local supermarket.
Dainty Dots, the dankest dots on the street.
Thank you very much. Do you have another?
Yeah. So moving out of fantasy food. Well, that'd be so much better than fantasy football, by the way.
I don't know. Fantasy football is pretty intense, but doesn't taste good.
That's true. Moving out of the cartoon world, I think one food that I really wish existed, and I don't think it was until recently that I realized doesn't actually exist because I just never thought about it.
Yeah.
Is blue raspberry. So
what do you mean?
You know, like the flavor of blue raspberry. So if you get it's usually a candy flavor. It's blue raspberry, but blue raspberry doesn't exist. It's just a raspberry. That's
right.
Red.
That's pink. Red. So so you mean like an actual berry?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like some kind of...
Yeah, I mean, the flavor exists for sure, but I wish that that food existed.
So like you could go to a plant and pick...
Right, a blue raspberry.
A blue raspberry.
I think the closest approximation I've ever gotten to it is, it's kind of embarrassing, but like the Mountain Dew Code Blue, which I can't believe that I actually tried that, but it kind of tastes like a blue Sour Patch Kid.
Yeah.
And if that was a berry, I think that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, so let's go with this a little bit. If you went out, where would you get these berries? Would they just grow wild, or could you plant them in your backyard? Or...
Well, yeah, I mean, like a blueberry bush, it can grow wild and you can plant them. It would be like a normal plant.
So would it have thorns on it, or would it be... Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to think of how badly do I want... raspberries are great, but I don't like picking them because you get all scratched up.
I don't know. I haven't thought about the harvesting method.
Well, that would be important, I would think.
Okay.
Because that might, determine whether or not you wanted to plant them in your own backyard.
Listen, I'm just a girl who wants honey to be nacho cheese and for raspberries to be blue.
That actually sounds good, though. So would you make pies out of it, or?
You could. I think in my mind, just kind of imagine eating it straight up. But
just straight up. Any sugar added to it, or just straight?
Just straight.
Okay, now, so since you're making this up, it can be whatever you want it to be. One of the things I don't like about raspberries and blackberries are the seeds. Yeah. Because they get stuck in your teeth. So would these have seeds?
Sure, they can be seedless.
Seedless. How would they reproduce?
Like a seedless watermelon. How do those reproduce? We don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that's true. You're getting into...
biology,
which is not really botany, but both begin with a B. It's a science of living things, so plants. But anyway, I was pretty good at that, but I don't know. I have no idea how they grow seedless watermelons. I'm sure that they do something that's probably terrible and not good for you, but... Yeah, yeah, I could eat that. I think I would eat that. Because there have been, real foods that have that as a flavor. Like you said, Sour Patch Kids. I remember when I love amusement parks. You're talking about Universal. There was this amusement park we used to go to in Ohio all the time when we were kids, and they had this blue raspberry ice cream.
Yes, I've heard about this before from you.
So it was, you actually had it.
Right. But
when you were a little kid.
Remember.
You don't remember it? Mm-hmm. Maybe in your subconscious, that's where this blue raspberry thing has come from, because you ate a blue raspberry ice cream cone.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, I think that probably is where it came from.
So what's your next food?
My next imaginary food, those two are so dominant in my mind that I really haven't thought much about it for a long time. But, I often think about, you talked about heaven and there'll be food there and you'll be able to feast and stuff like that. So I've thought about, what would I want? There has to be something there that we've never had before. And it makes me, because, if you go all the way back to Genesis and you read in the Bible about this forbidden fruit, everybody says it was an apple. doesn't say that it was an apple. It doesn't identify what kind of fruit it was, right?
Which gives us a bad name, anyways.
Correct. Tied to our last name, Applegate, if you didn't make the connection there. Anyway, and I like apples, but that's not the point. The point is, whatever the fruit was, we don't know, right? So I guess my imaginary fruit, I stay in the fruit realm. I can't get away from it. You said the blueberry thing. I'm a fruity guy. I loved, the orange thing. And of course, I love the blue raspberry thing. So that definitely is right up there. But I don't know what it would be. I don't even know what it would be called, but I imagine it to be something really soft, like a peach, and a really soft skin, but not messy. Not so messy like a peach, because it runs all down your face, and in heaven everything's going to be clean and neat, I'm sure. But not like a banana where you got to peel it, because I don't know. Bananas, I like bananas, but I don't know what you would call this fruit, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I think that it would have a nice fleshy, not too hard, kind of soft, but not mushy kind of thing. And I imagine that you would eat it kind of like this, not taking a bite like the orange thing. I imagine that you put the whole thing in your mouth, almost like a strawberry, and you pull it out, and then there's like just this stem, and that's all that's left.
Nice.
Yeah, and I love citrus flavored things, so it probably would have some kind of citrusy flavor to it, is what I imagine it to be like. But I also kind of imagine the sugar side of cotton candy.
Okay.
That this would, have you ever had those cotton candy grapes?
Yes.
Okay. So something kind of in that vein, maybe a little bit, not candy sweet, because I don't like overly, like, some of those hard candies. I don't care for that stuff. So that's why I'm saying it'd be soft, not mushy, but soft and easy to eat. Not juice running down your face so that you look like a slob, and then come out with the stem and be some kind of citrusy thing. So
I like that. It's very specific.
It is very specific. It's food. I'm pretty specific about my food.
I think the last one that comes to my mind is, so we had neighbors growing up who lived in our cul-de-sac, who are an older couple. And I think it was them who sent us marzipan once. Oh,
yeah. I remember that. Wasn't it for like Christmas or something?
Something like that. Yeah. They were German. I don't know if that's a thing in Germany, marzipan. I don't know if it's popular there, but they were German and they really liked it. And if you don't know what marzipan is, traditionally it comes in like these little white, they look like mini cupcake wrappers, essentially, like a Reese's wrapper, but white. And it looks like fruit. Like,
what color?
So if it's a pear, it's green. If it's
so they were different colors.
Yeah, like they looked like they had been spray painted like fruit, and they always look so good to me.
So like shiny?
A little bit. They're like lustery. Maybe we'll put a picture for the video version, but it was very pretty. I remember thinking like, this is gonna taste really good, and it tasted so bad. You know what fondant tastes like? It's like very bland and chewy.
Yeah, it's almost like crumbly.
It's like Laffy Taffy that's sad.
Sad taffy.
Yeah. And so it tasted like that, and I was just so disappointed. So again, the imaginary food that I want to exist is the good version of marzipan. So
what would the good version of marzipan taste like? In your mind, you obviously had something like you did with the honey thing. You obviously had something in mind as to what it should taste like, and it didn't taste like that.
Yeah.
So what were you imagining?
I think it would have the fruitiness of Laffy Taffy, but like the texture of fondant, or the texture that marzipan has is good, but the flavor was awful.
Well, so I've never eaten marzipan. I don't remember eating any of that. So was it like chewy or?
Yeah, it's like chewy. It's not as sticky as Laffy Taffy is, where it feels bad for your teeth. It's like a little bit fluffy and chewy. So like a little bit denser than a marshmallow, I'd say.
Denser than a marshmallow. Oh, so kind of like some of those fruit chews, maybe, but not quite that sticky.
Yeah.
Even less sticky than that.
A little fluffier. And maybe I just had bad marzipan, and I just need to be re-exposed to it. But
it could be. But so again, tell me what it's sweet. Is it tangy, or is it?
I don't think so.
No.
It'd probably be a little less tangy than Laffy Taffy would be, but yeah, the good version of marzipan.
So would each one taste exactly the same, or would they be different flavors?
They would taste different.
They would taste different based on the color of it.
Yeah.
So would they taste like fruits, or would it be something totally unique?
Yeah, they would be fruity.
They would be fruity.
Yeah.
Like fruits that we know.
Yes. Not like the imaginary heavenly fruit that you are going to eat in the afterlife.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is the afterlife versus the real life here, or the now life, or whatever you want to call it, which obviously produce garbage stuff like marzipan, at least for you. So, yeah, of course it's not going to taste that good. I mean, what would you still call it, marzipan?
Yeah.
That wouldn't change. See, because for me, I still can't think of a name for this heavenly fruit.
Well, that's okay. When you die, you'll find them.
But it would help to know. I mean, I don't know what kind of name it should have, but...
I mean, you'll find out the name when you get to heaven, or if you go to like a weird section of Whole Foods.
Yeah, that's probably true. If you went there, that you might find something that would be weird like that. Like, there are some fruits I won't eat just because of the way they look.
Oh.
They scare me, but this I don't imagine this being scary to me.
Yeah.
I imagine it being very inviting and warm and something that you would want to eat and not be disappointed like the marzipan.
Right.
So I want to know, though, one last thing. These people obviously were being very generous and kind. You ate. Did they ever ask you what you thought of it? Like,
I don't think so.
Okay, so...
I mean, to be fair to them, they had a great dog. They had a German Shepherd, and they were
two
German,
German
so
Shepherds.
it was, it was on theme.
Okay, true there. But did you write them a thank you note?
I don't remember. Maybe.
Well, because if you did, I'm thinking you'd have to probably fed a little bit.
I mean, they're dead now, so...
Well... Yeah, let's end this on a morbid note. Our friends who gave us marzipan passed away, so it doesn't matter what I said in my thank you note. But
So yeah, those are some of our favorite imaginary foods. We want to know what your favorite imaginary foods are.
Absolutely. So, make sure that you leave some comments in the section below, wherever that is, imaginary section. I mean, it'll be real.
Imaginary to us, real to you.
Real to you, imaginary to us, just like these imaginary foods, which, if anyone out there creates something like our imaginary foods, please send those to us. We would be happy to test them and let everybody know what we think of them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. We'll bark at you later.
Have a good one.